Hello everyone, welcome to the Redmen Originals Podcast with me, Paul Machin, Chris Pager, Chloe Bloxham and Dan Clubb. We're all here. It's what we do. We've long since made this rod for our back. Long gone are the days where Liverpool were just in bad form and I just wouldn't bother. But no, we're here for you guys. We're here for each other as well, more importantly, because in these kind of times, we have to stick together, really, don't we? Or just slag people up online, whatever gets you through the international break. We are going to be discussing Liverpool's defeat to Chelsea. Yes, the third consecutive defeat. We are also going to each take a turn in Arne Slot's shoes and present how we think he should go about turning Liverpool's woes around into big, shiny positivity. That is coming later on. Before that, we do have a sponsorship from a Beer 52. Chris Pajak has, in his words, recorded an absolute fire advert for said partnership.
It's easy when the product's that good.
So let's see it.
How does a free case of 8 spectacular beers sound? How does it sound? Well, our good friends at Beer 52 are giving Redmen TV viewers and listeners the exclusive offer of 8 never-before-tested limited edition beers from UK brewing legends Northern Monk. Just go to www.beer52.com/Redmen and cover the postage to get your free beers right now. Your free case will include Dimensions of Existence, a vibrant and heavily hopped double IPA, packing a punch at 7.5%. It delivers a smooth and flavourful body to ensure the ultimate craft beer delight. Oh, yeah. That is delicious. It also includes a juicy IPA with a deep haze and rich texture, along with an outstanding Imperial Stout that will knock your socks off at 8%. However, if, unlike me, you don't like dark beers, you can just choose the light case, and don't forget you get a couple of tasty snacks in there too. Oh, yes, can't wait to crack them open with a beer later. You can also learn all about the brewery and the Northern Monk patrons with the award-winning Ferment magazine. Oh, yes. And even if, after all that, you're still unsatisfied, you can simply pause or cancel anytime. So head over to www.beer52.com/Redmen to claim your free case of 8 exclusive beers now. That's beer52.com/Redmen.
And that's all we've got time for on this week's show. Thank you so much. Wow. Extensive but special. Well done, Chris Pajak.
Fucking pub call.
Beer52.com/Redmen.
Yeah, get involved if you're into that kind of thing. We've had Beer 52 involved a few times over the years, and I think it's absolutely terrific. So yeah, do have a little tipple if that's your kind of thing. Anyway, I mean, did we make that in foresight deliberately long so we'd have less time to talk about the Reds?
I think so.
Yeah, definitely. Let's do it then. Chelsea 2, Liverpool 1.
What are you laughing for?
Oh,
It's not funny.
Be serious.
It's not funny.
No,
Liverpool are crap.
Can't be.
I know, but I have to laugh. Otherwise I'll cry.
Yeah, genuinely. I've got an agenda. We'll see how much we get through it.
You've always had an agenda.
I've always got one.
That's the problem.
Yeah, I know. I don't even know where to start. Let's just go. Start 11. Fuck it. It's going to start in places anyway. We went with Szoboszlai in midfield and Bradley at right back. He changed that at half time. I think there's a wider conversation and that we could do this in sort of more chronological order, but that, I guess, is the talking point. And it means that. So I was talking to my dad about this yesterday, and he had a little mutter about Bradley. Well, he keeps getting yellow cards and he keeps doing this and that. And I'm like, once we made the decision to take Kerkez off in the first half against Burnley, Slot almost made this rod for his back a bit with his fullbacks now getting on yellows in the first half, Chris. And it does make you wonder, is there a lack of trust in his fullbacks? Is there a lack of trust in the officiating, or is it something else completely different?
I wish you could have asked Slot that, not me, but he's not here, so I will try and answer on his behalf. I don't know. I think with Kerkez it maybe was slightly different because Kerkez hasn't played for him for a year, so he doesn't really understand exactly where his sort of boundaries are, maybe, as well as somebody like a Conor Bradley. I think there will be the official side of things, not knowing what they're going to do, but also I think a little nod to the fact that Liverpool's weakness is sort of down behind Conor Bradley and has been for so long, that right-hand side, the team still try to exploit that. They're knocking balls over the top and they're asking full-backs to chase. You do see, fouls given, yellow cards given. You have to look at the same when Szoboszlai was there. How many times he's been facing the wrong way. Obviously gives a penalty away midweek and then, pushes somebody in the penalty area, not enough for a penalty, but does the same thing. So teams are still targeting that position. So I think you do, with 5 subs, have that ability to be able to go, I can change one now because it's not that big of a deal, but maybe it's more of a deal than Slot thinks.
What do you think? Because it's easy, isn't it, Chloe, to go, yeah, well, the fullback was having a bad game or whatever. I don't think Bradley was having a bad game. I think he had some challenges to face. Least of all, Garnacho throwing himself on the floor every time he got remotely near him. So would you place that down to similar to the Kerkez thing of like, well, I can't be playing this game with 10 men? Or did he look at it and go, actually, you know what? It means I can get Florian Wirtz on the pitch?
A bit of both. I think, look, you're away from home, which is another big factor. If that's at home, maybe he doesn't change it. But it's away from home. And, we speak about referees, the decisions that they make. Then when you've got 30-something thousand Chelsea fans also on top of absolutely every single decision that Bradley then therefore makes in terms of challenges, it can be influenced with the referees. So I said at half time, get him off that pitch right away because he will get sent off. Because it felt like from inside the ground, every time Garnacho got the ball, he was just getting the better of Conor Bradley. He'd made a couple of fouls. One of them he then gets booked for. He then makes another one just before half time happens. And when he does that and he makes one more before half time, all you're thinking is, he does one more of them in the second half and he's off because he's just let him get away with one after being booked. They're not going to let him get away with another. And also, Liverpool struggled with an outlet. They struggled attacking. And, Florian Wirtz, when you've got a player like him on the bench, okay, well, we can change this because Dom has proved so far this season he's a stable right back. So I think, for me, I don't know whether it's the fact that I think with the Kerkez one, he didn't trust him because he's a little bit rash, let's be honest. He's young. Conor Bradley's, pretty much young and can be a little bit rash. He's still learning the game as well. If that's Andy Robbo, maybe it's something different. If that's Trent, maybe it's something different. But you've got 2 young fullbacks there. And the problem is when you're away from home, every single decision that goes against you is going to be piled on by a bunch of fans as well, influencing a referee. So I think he makes the right decision to do that. But there's numerous factors as to why. It's also sometimes stupid from Liverpool. I mean, Kerkez does not need to get a yellow as well.
I just think players get booked, man.
Yeah.
And they ride it out. Andy Robertson's taken so many yellow cards in his career. Fabinho used to get booked all the time. McAllister. We have a running joke with the guys who are behind me at the game who do the rache. And it's like, it was last season it was McAllister. The season before it was Endo. The guys who were like, if you're going to put money on someone to get booked, there's always one lad on the pitch for Liverpool who's going to be more likely to do it. Conor Bradley's definitely kind of in that list, but how do you learn how to manage if you can't as a player that situation? If the manager hooks you when you pick up a yellow card,
I think it's a problem, and I think it's one that's gone somewhat under the radar personally. And I think Conor Bradley was somewhat fortunate in terms of not being hooked prior to half time. That second foul that Chloe's referring to comes so close to half time because there probably isn't even enough time to make another foul and actually get sent off. Had that not been the case, was it 5-10 minutes prior, there's a good chance that Arne Slot makes that decision then, because clearly he just doesn't trust neither Conor Bradley nor Milos Kerkez to play through any amount of time on a yellow card, which I don't think is a pretty glowing endorsement on any of them.
Well, it's a damning indictment of officiating, but also I just feel like it's a bit of a shitbag move from the manager in that regard of like trust your players, and I'll let him off with that by the way, without being too harsh to Slot, because I do think there was a little degree of he looked at the game with a goal behind, and it went, well, I'm going to make this change at some point anyway.
Yeah.
I think that sub was on.
Regardless, I agree, yeah.
So he's got the almost like built in, well, actually, I'm doing it for a tactical reason, not necessarily
get out of jail thing. Yeah. No, I get that. But I think you just alluded to it a minute ago. A characteristic of being able to see through a game on a yellow card is a really good one to have in a player. And the fact that neither fullback can do that seemingly at the moment, I don't think sort of bodes well, because if they're going to get booked, they're going to come up against wingers who will challenge them and will occasionally get the better of them. You need to be able to learn to live with being on a yellow card. And I don't stylistically, they're similar. They're very sort of combative. You could use the word rash for Milos Kerkez most definitely. Conor Bradley's record this season, I think, is 5 yellow cards in 8 appearances. And he's completed 90 minutes once. Yeah. That ain't pretty. Yeah. However you want to dress that up, that is not pretty. He's come into a couple of games as a sub and got booked shortly after. Like, there's definitely a problem there.
But again, it goes back to like the how deep we're going to go on the analysis of stuff and why it annoys me. People just go, well, Bradley's a problem. I just
Walking
don't
yellow
think
card.
It's that big. But that there was one, he came on and it's his first tackle and the referee gives him a yellow like he's been on the pitch and been tallying
totting it up.
And this goes back to the officiating thing. This is the officials are shite, and it's mad that, okay, we are fortunate, to your point, of we've got the substitute thing, so there's no need for us to make this rod for our back. But yeah, at the moment, I feel like it's leading towards a narrative that there's a problem with our fullbacks, whereas I think the problem probably lies more outside that.
You might be right, but it might feed into a problem with our fullbacks just as much, mightn't it? Because if they can't not get a yellow card and they know that the officials are like that, then something's got to change, because there are fullbacks who can get through games without picking up a yellow card. They're just not at our club.
It's a nailed on yellow, by the way. The Conor Bradley one's a nailed. It's a bad yellow.
Was it? You said that he wasn't playing that bad. I thought he was getting skinned time and time again. I thought he was getting no help, because this is the other problem. When you've got a Mo Salah who's fully tracking back, then it really helps you out. But the problem is
he hasn't done that for over a year.
Yeah, no, he's not. But at the same time, Conor Bradley's not played there every single game, and you've had Dom who's been covering. Where now it feels like Liverpool are so easy to play through, but also, like, it just feels like they constantly had a spare man, because Cucurella was up there, and then you had Enzo Fernandez in the mid, kind of causing a triangle. You had Garnacho, and it just felt like every time they had the ball, it was always there's just a short little one pass there.
I think that's a slightly different point, but yeah, Salah not helping out enough is definitely an issue in terms of where the midfield's balanced now. There isn't a midfield player as naturally obvious to go over there and help out like there would have been in like the Henderson, Fabinho, Milner, Wijnaldum kind of days. I just thought in terms of Garnacho, I thought he was handling Garnacho fine, and Garnacho's one of them players who is tricky, but at no point did he I just don't. Yeah, he got on his toes. He stopped them from doing stuff. He held possession of a few times. He gets the yellow card because Cucurella overloads on that side and goes past them. He pulls Bradley, and then Bradley pulls him back, and then clearly goes, "Oh shit." Yeah, I probably shouldn't have done that, and picks up the yellow. But if that was your sense of things, but. I for my sins sat down and watched this again today, and I looked at Bradley's performance and just thought there was nothing in there that made me think he was having an absolute stinker of a game.
But not for the yellow card. I don't think you're making that sort of half-time, personally. And whilst it makes sense in terms of getting some more creativity on the pitch, and obviously Dom Szoboszlai has done a very good job by and large at right back. What Jamie Frimpong's thinking, by the way, at this point, I'm not entirely sure.
Well, that goes back to the tactical point, though, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like, and this is what I mean. Is this the manager going, not even giving it a second thought of going, well, no, this is my... And we saw it with the centre-half thing, Chris. Konate's another one. Konate's getting stick for not having a good game. But we discussed it on the player ranking show. Konate was fine. He has a couple of bad passes. I mean, Virgil van Dijk is the first pass of the game. He literally gives the ball away and they have an attack. It's that kind of thing. But just his way of going through the gears slot at the moment is Szoboszlai to right back, Vert into midfield, and then at some point Gravenberch to centre half and another midfielder into the mix. So it's hard to entirely discern whether this is just Slot, as I say, going through the gears, or does he have a problem with the performances of the players?
I don't know, but I do have a problem with the system at the moment. That's where I have a bigger problem than anything, to be honest with you. I don't think the players are playing well at all, but I do think that it's changed 3 times in a week. And you go back to the game last weekend, we start that mad little 4-2-2-2 We then go into Galatasaray, and Jones is with Gravenberch and Wirtz, and we go into this game and we have Szoboszlai with McAllister and Gravenberch, and it's just 3 completely different midfield setups, and it feels to me like someone who is trying to find an answer for something by testing things out. And that, for me, isn't a good foundation for cohesion, and I think cohesion is one of the most important things if you want to win a Premier League. We are just changing things almost willy-nilly at the moment.
It's not like him, that either, is it?
It's not.
That's what's so odd about it. We spent so much of last year speaking about how the fact that you just had a core group of players that you trusted in the set system, and the word control was like the buzzword the entire season, and all of that seems to have evaporated.
I totally agree on that, but again, it goes back to this, like, why is he doing that? Is it this, like, he's trying to find a system that fits, or is that the knock-on impact of, let's say, Alexis McAllister?
Yeah, true.
Alexis McAllister can't do 90 minutes for us, but he wants him to be able to do 90 minutes. And if you had no idea of the context of Alexis McAllister's summer, you'd be like, why is this lad starting? I actually thought it was his best game in a while. I think some of the stuff he did was back to McAllister being what McAllister can be in terms of his reading of the game. Notwithstanding he doesn't get a grip on Caicedo. But I wonder how much of this would be, how much chopping and changing there would be if he could trust his McAllister to play every week. Or is there just the additional knock-on effect to this is he's got 4 lads that he wants to play, and he's only got 3 positions, and he hasn't got a clue what the best way to line them up is, because Szoboszlai feels like Szoboszlai and Wirtz, Chloe, feel like the elephant in the room of, you've got to play Wirtz because you've bought this guy as a transformative player for your team, and you can't not play Szoboszlai because he's been our best player this season. And at the moment, that seems to be where a lot of our hang-ups are coming from, similar to what Chris is saying.
Yeah, it is. But once again, you've got to go back to basics and get the balance of the team correct. Like, I totally understand we've spent a ridiculous amount of money on Florian Wirtz, but something that Liverpool have been so good at is integrating footballers and giving them time and taking the pressure off them by going, it's all right, lad, you can play yourself into this side. And I think you mentioned it with Gyökeres, how stunned you were that Gyökeres just got the shirt instantly and it was your new fullback, where in previous times it's, nah, you've got to earn this shirt a little bit. We've got kind of a pecking list here, and we do think you can be you are the future of Liverpool, but earn that and make sure you're not just giving it upon arrival and things like that. I think we haven't done that. We've got no balance. We've got Liverpool just need to go back to the same system, the same group of players right now, because you said consistency happens with cohesion and knowing each other. When you're changing the fullbacks week in, week out, and then throughout the game, I get in some games where we're moving Ryan Gravenberch, but that Palace game, for example, Ryan Gravenberch was boss and he really helped us, and then we put him at centre-half and there was absolutely no link between the defenders and the 7 attackers we had on the pitch, and it's therefore no, Ryan Gravenberch, move him back into midfield, and there's your transition to get us higher up the pitch and link the play. And I think for me right now, Liverpool are just doing so many different mad things, and I'd be more than happy for them to just stick with one gun and stay with it and try and figure it out.
All of this being said, Arsenal change their fullbacks every week. City pretty much change their fullbacks every week. Arsenal have changed the centre-back pairings. Arsenal changed their midfield 3 every week. Man City have always changed their midfield makeup and layout. So why is it only us that has to be wedded to one particular layout of team?
I don't believe we do, and I think it's game dependent and circumstance dependent. However, the issue we have right now is, whilst we're trying to get all these new lads to integrate into gel and to become cohesive, is Old Faithful's not playing particularly well either. You cannot say Van Dijk's been good. Obviously, Szoboszlai's been excellent, but Salah's been miles off it. Alexis McAllister, I think we all would have had in amongst our most important players last season, has been a shadow of himself. So that's where the issue lies for me. Whilst Chloe is right in terms of we've always integrated players really well and successfully and seamlessly, and we've allowed them time and patience to grow into the side, they're not afforded that right now, because the lads who have been good have always sort of got over the line in matches previously. This time that's not happening.
And we've also got to win every game of football every week.
The pressure is that.
Yeah.
The pressure is that. And yet, and teams want, we have a scalp for absolutely everybody now, so we aren't afforded the luxury of being able to cope through any game of football. We've got to go to the well to the 90-odd minute to even get a draw, or try and get a draw in certain circumstances. So, yeah, I think that's it. I think whilst this settling in, the teething problem spell was always going to be a bit tricky. That's when we needed the 5, 6, the core group of lads who have won the Premier League previously to really sort of step up to the plate and maybe take it in turns to be the man to drag us through games. 2 or 3 of them have done that. The others have been miles off.
It's really tough, isn't it, when the players that you're relying on are also going through trauma in their lives? Because
Yeah.
Of course, yeah, of course. Yeah. You can't legislate for that either.
No, you
Yeah,
can't, can you?
yeah.
And it's right, and because it's, I find that I feel hypocrisy creeping into how I think about the footy at times. It's very hard, I think, to pull yourself back from the precipice of just going, it's all crap, these are shit. Throw the baby out with the bathwater. It's all the manager's fault. It's all the players. Mo Salah. When I absolutely, whether I said it out loud on a public forum or whatever, I certainly thought it, that these lads can literally do whatever they want now. You know what I mean? Like, there'll never be a lack of trying. But based on what they've gone through in the summer, the fact that they dusted themselves down, picked themselves up and got back into training and went about the business of it all, I did say, like, if they have a trail off this season because they can't deal with that, then we'll have to be understanding of all that. And then here we are after 3 defeats going, like, again, Mo Salah's done, Mo Salah's finished, and these are all finished, and this and that. It's tough because we have to remind ourselves as well how we think about these lads, and there is no measuring it, as you said, no legislating for it, and there's no way for us to comprehend. There is no Football Manager out of 20 statistic that will tell you how well these lads deal with trauma and heartbreak. But the thing we've got going for us as well, Chris, is that there's loads of other factors, you know what I mean, that you can kind of point to as well. And, we've already touched upon kind of tons of them, but that's what makes it frustrating. It would be dead easy if it was like if it was one.
I said this on my match reaction, that I don't think there is a silver bullet to fixing Liverpool's problems this season. I think it is going to take time. I don't want to tread too much on the second part of the show, which is why this part's actually quite difficult to talk about. But I do think that, like, the problems that Liverpool had going into this season were masked by the transfer fees that Liverpool paid, which is absolutely stupid. But, you've got to think about it as how many players are they trying to integrate? How long will it take? I think we all probably thought before the season it would be a good couple of months. The fact that we started with 5 wins probably put a bit too much wind in our sails. Yeah. And it almost feels a bit like, I don't want to say anything bad now because I said that we're fucking boss, but it's not true. You were just wrong earlier in the season. When you thought, you were right originally when you thought to yourself, probably take a couple of months for this to all get up and running. And then you've got a bit ahead of yourself. We're all wrong. We got a bit lucky in those first few games, I feel now. It's not, I don't think it was this like, this fucking magic, blah, blah. I think we got a little bit lucky in those first 5 few games, like a lot of people were trying to tell us, if I'm being honest, and that the job's quite big. Yeah. And it's going to take a bit of time for us to get back to it. It
feels like backtracking, which is the hard thing for me, of being so positive and feeling so upbeat about so many areas of things. And it's also hard because I don't think that's gone away. I don't, there is that temptation for, like, 3 games ago, everything was as rosy it can be. In 3 more games, there'll be 10 games played. The archetypal first real point where, the season has taken a good stock and shape. You've got no idea now which way it will go. You feel like it's going to continue to trend negatively. 3 games ago, we were jokingly doing the extrapolate the points difference from us to Arsenal out over the course of the season. Now, if you extrapolate it out, what we'll finish like. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like
the worst thing about that is, though, you looked at the table like 9 days ago, we were 5 points clear.
Yeah, a mere 9 days ago.
And now you look at it and you go, How in 9 days have we gone from 5 clear to not even second? Not even second.
The conversations then were, and the narrative then was, imagine when we start playing well. That's how we felt.
Yeah.
We kind of got through, we muddled through, we found a couple of ways to win, and we're not even anything like in second gear yet. So just imagine, all of a sudden you get this harsh reality check, and football can be cruel like that sometimes. And here we are now going, fucking hell, actually, we need to get our act together to even be in that conversation.
Yeah, and it's a pain, and again, because look, it's a problem not unique to us because lots of people do the kind of things that we do, but it is a problem when you go out in public and talk about how the football's going and your positivity around it. Nothing wrong with feeling upbeat when things are going your way.
Sorry, apologies, we are second.
You are, I know.
I think I looked at the table last when Palace would be ahead of Everton.
Okay,
Yeah. That was a slightly better time to look.
Well, there we go. It's all fine then. What the fuck are you talking about? Calm down. God, that's how it's going to feel better. If we think we're lower in the table, then we'll be more humble, and then when we look at it, it'll be fine. No, it's that thing of where you go, yeah, this is great, and you're right. I think, Dan, you're right in saying that, of like, imagine when we get good, as though it will naturally follow that we're just going to immediately click and be absolutely brilliant. And it's one of those stupid points that you only have to make when you feel like you're trying to justify something, of course. But if we just spread those defeats out a little bit more, or lost the first 3 and then won the ones afterwards, that was kind of how you should have done it. We should have had all these problems, and it should be getting better. So it feels weird to kind of feel like you're taking a backward step. But yeah, we'll have to see how they cope with it. Look, let's pick on some more points from the game. We touched on Salah, Chloe. It doesn't help that it ties into the Florian Wirtz thing at the minute as well, because Wirtz pulls out one of the all-time great assists
passes
in potential. Yeah, in potential. Yeah, exactly. And Salah puts it wide. Fine, you can miss right-footed chances from narrow angles. You can. I mean, to overlay with the point, I mean, you can hit the target as well. You don't have to score. He has one where he cuts in on his left foot, where everyone makes a run, and he has a shot. Don't hate that. When he then does it again, when Isaac is making a run through, he starts off those points and you go, oh, mate, like, I really have got no idea what is going on with Mo Salah, and that's the problem with him being who he is, the superstar, the megastar. He is a lightning rod for everything that happens around Liverpool as a result of it. And then when it's not working for him, you do look at him a little bit and go, how did it work? And that's the thing I'm struggling with Mo at the minute.
Yeah, it's mad. He does a lovely ball in the first half as well for Alexander Isak outside of the foot. Maybe Alexander Isak should do better. I'm not sure. It was the other end from me. And I remember thinking, okay, well, that's something to hold on to for the second half. And we found him more in the game. There's a lot. That Chelsea game, he was more in that game than I've seen him in the past 4 or 5 games. We really struggled to get Mo Salah in the game. The problem I have is when we give him the ball,
just kicking it long into the corner for him to run at in the second half.
But the problem I have is when you give him the ball, every time he has it, you expect him to produce a bit of magic or beat someone, and it feels like he just can't do that. He can't get round the man. He can't beat them in the individual little battles there. And like you said, that the one from Florian Wirtz, he should at least get it on target. At least it feels like he's more asked about the lad who's making a slide tackling, and he feels like he needs to get out of the way of that halfway through shooting. Then the one that you mentioned where he puts it just past the upper corner, fine. That's Mo Salah. He's going to take opportunities like that. But it's the second time he does it where the ball goes absolutely ballooning into the away end and he's got so many better options on. And that's the thing. It's like he's not even choosing the correct option in the final third, where last season he was the link between everything. He got the goals for you, but actually his assists were outstanding as well. And some of the balls he put in, they were ridiculous. He was seeing the game like nobody else. And now it just feels like he's lacking confidence, he's lacking creativity, he can't get in the game as much, and when he can, he's not finding the end product there. So it is tough, especially when you rely so much on him. But also at the same time, like, I'm pretty sure over the weekend we've all seen the same video from Bournemouth where he's facing the cop as we sing Diogo Jota's name, and once again it's just, you just go back to that, but like, you just can't have any understanding of how much that affects them on a daily basis, of how much it affects them. And I think Maresca even came out before the game and was like, they walk in, like he'd been through it, he said they walk in to that dressing room, that changing room, every single day to go to training or a football pitch, and they see one spot open time and time again. Like that, I never even thought about it in that way.
Is it right that they've got the Jotas in Anfield is like slot still there in the changing
I'm not sure.
room? I saw a picture of it early doors, and I couldn't work out whether it was like a gesture they did for the opening of the season or it's something that's there for the whole season. Because like, it's not a figurative thing; it's a literal thing. If that's the case, it's worth remembering, just to put a bit of context on the Salah thing. Dan, he's only scored once for us at Stamford Bridge before, so it's not like we are used to Mohamed Salah absolutely tearing it up at Stamford Bridge, which is another one of those stupid things that you don't really consider at the time. He's never really been our saviour in that game, so it is on other people to kind of step up. So yeah, the problem is, of course, he's just not having a good season so far.
No, he's not. No, he doesn't look anything like the Mo Salah we've come to expect over the past few seasons, and certainly the Mo Salah of last season. He was quite unfortunate with the ball for Isak. I think Isak should do better, actually, with the header in particular. But yeah, and I felt like, as you say, Stamford Bridge has never been a happy hunting ground, nor was Chelsea for him when he played for them, nor since. But I felt like he was becoming more and more desperate to be the guy and to be the saviour, and maybe that's something he might have to look into a little bit as well from his own performances, because he clearly knows, to come back to an earlier point about the big players and the ones who've been there before dragging us through games and sort of being the star. I think Salah takes particular responsibility and sort of onus and ownership of that, and now he's obviously watching us bit dysfunctional, really struggling to sort of be ourselves. He's probably thinking, I need to be the one. Whereas actually, he's got Alexander Isak, he's got Florian Wirtz, he's got other world-class operators around him, Ekitike when he comes on, whoever. So to your point about the chance, the moment where sort of there's 3 or 4 options around him, better options in my opinion as well. Salah's so sort of in his own head thinking, it's got to be me. He takes the shot, which is clearly the wrong one. But yeah, he more than anyone probably needs this little mini break now, if I can just get away a little bit and come back of it refreshed and go again.
So you see the pictures of him arriving for Egypt, and there's just obviously like masses of smiling kids all there to celebrate him. And you definitely something that could bode well for him. Just I get that feeling sometimes with him, Chris. It goes back to your point about the system of. I remember during the COVID season when it was Merseyside derby and I think Henderson goes off injured in that game, and that was where everything was like, it reached this sort of nadir of crapness for us. Yeah, it's the end of Henderson's season, and Trent's basically like the last man standing, and he's trying to win the game for us. But it's when you realise Trent Alexander-Arnold can't win games of football for you alone, because that's not where he is on the pitch as a huge impact on all that. Now Salah is theoretically in decisive areas of the pitch, but I do wonder whether we still have the same platform for him there to go and win football matches. And it's hard, because I'm going to come on to Andy Robertson later on and there's a criticism of how he defended the goal. I can't remember examples of when it was going well, because you don't think about it when it's going well. When it's not, you go, well, that's a problem. But again, my overriding sense is Salah doesn't seem to be able to get into the areas, and I feel like other people provide the platform.
Ordinarily, I would have agreed with it, but we've put the ball in 3 areas for him where he should get a goal for me at the weekends. Obviously the 3 shots that he's had, he has missed the target with all 3, and that's a concern for me. That's the exact areas that you want Mo Salah to get the football, and he's got the football there, and he's missed the target 3 times. So ordinarily, I do think this season we haven't put him in the best positions, but when we do put him in the best positions, he's got to finish it as well. Otherwise, you get to a point. This is where this leads. If this carries on, you get to the point of, what's the point in having someone who doesn't track back if he's not doing this?
Yeah,
and it's not yet, but that's what does naturally will follow in 3 months' time or whatever.
Well, it won't, because he'll be at AFCON, and we'll have to solve that problem in a completely different way. And I do, part of me does kind of have that in my head about like why are we persistent with Salah? We're persistent with him because he's unbelievable. And I do think, Chloe, there is a little bit similar to the Alexis McAllister stuff, where in McAllister and Salah, you got 2 of your best players there. You've got, two of the best in the world at what they do, and for a variety of reasons, it's not working. So you've got a decision to make as a manager. Do you put someone else in who's worse, or do you persist with the lad who's not at the level? You know what I mean? So you might be... Curtis Jones is a great example, and I say worse is not right, because I think Curtis is quietly having quite a good season for us as well. He's been improving us when he's come on the pitch. But the manager clearly has Alexis McAllister above there in the pecking order, and everyone who can possibly play on the right is below Salah in the pecking order. But right now, in form, there's an argument that Curtis Jones is ahead of McAllister, and fucking anybody could theoretically be better than Mo on the right hand side, because he's not scoring and not assisting enough. So, is the manager almost like, is it understandable why he's sticking through with this, or to the point of the lads, is this going to wear thin if it doesn't click in relatively short space of time?
I mean, it's hard because in Galatasaray he benches them both, and we're absolutely stunned that he had the balls to bench Mo Salah, because Mo Salah demands to play what feels like every single game. So you've taken him out to start 11, and Liverpool have still been crap. You need someone, and look, my only caveat to this is, how the hell is Chiesa not getting on the pitch more? Still, like, he must think, what do I have to do? Yeah. Because he's the only one who has been in form, who has came on and, got Liverpool back into the game time and time again. He was the best player on the pitch against Southampton, and yet he is not being used. We obviously know midweek he was carrying an injury, but then at the weekend you still don't see him. So yes, I think the problem is Slot's tried both, but you have to see them on a wider scale. Salah, once again, Burnley away. We're all sat there going, how's he still on the pitch? How's he still on the pitch? Then a penalty comes to him, and the pressure of a penalty, he's the one that slots it. And that's why you do keep him on the pitch. I think Slot has to choose the team that he wants and just back them and put his arm around them and say, yeah, we know you can get back there. You have the ability to do that. It's just a tough period. So I think he has to keep going with them, because it is Mo Salah. The problem is in games when it's not happening, don't be afraid to then take him off 10 minutes prior to what you probably would have, because that's the thing, is Salah's not actually... People have been saying he shouldn't be starting games, but then he does start and he's never subbed. That's where maybe Slot should be more ruthless. If you actually don't do anything in the first 65 minutes, that's when Chiesa comes on to replace him.
It's just so unusual to see Salah not being the best in the business in the opening of a season, because inevitably we're used to him struggling in the back end of seasons when he's running out of juice. But it doesn't bode well, does it, Dan, where it's not working for him now? He's got different combinations in the middle of the season, in our busiest sort of period, and he's got a history of not quite coming back from that tournament the same as well. So yeah, it's an issue, but it does, maybe it speaks to that thing of, if nothing else, you might as well leg him now, because this is the most fit he's probably going to be in the season.
Yeah, quite possibly. Yeah, I certainly hope that isn't the case. But as you rightly say, the omens aren't good, because he has always historically come back from the AFCON and not looked anything like the Mo Salah that left for that competition. So
that's what we're looking for.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. In reverse this time, yeah. It's a very good point. Yeah, maybe he's just trying to sort of spin that narrative himself, and he's playing particularly poorly now on purpose to come back and say, I fucking told you it wasn't AFCON. Look, I'm still boss. Yeah, listen, it's not been Mo Salah, anything like it. And again, the problem is, Chloe references Chiesa there, and on a slot for whatever reason, it might well be just purely fitness related. Can Chiesa start a game of football and do 90? We're not sure of that right now. Certainly not the Premier League and the intensity that brings. So there's still major question marks around him, but there is still no viable understudy. There is no viable option. He actually had two on the bench the weekend for Frimpong Chiesa. If they are the two options for, neither of them come onto the football pitch. So it's so tough, because again, when a game is in the balance, there's so many matches that we've seen where Salah has been the difference maker in pivotal moments. So you can't take him off.
But on that point as well, this is what happens when you change both your fullbacks. Because we were left without. We were back in a situation where Salah kind of got away a couple of times with some through balls or long balls over the top, and he's not quite on it in terms of the pace anymore. And I'm not saying Chiesa's probably similar. You know, he might be a little bit quicker over a short spell, whatever. Frimpong has absolutely got legs, and that would have been a nice little outball for us, wouldn't it? Go and let Frimpong chase some stuff down into the channels and see if he can get us out. But you've snookered yourself with the substitutions you've made at that point, because you're left with limited options of what you can actually do in terms of the substitution slot. On the substitutions,
you can do it a different way around though. Like, you know, you don't have to put Gravenberch at centre half.
Yeah.
Well,
like, you know what I mean. You definitely don't have to do that. Like Chloe said before, you do have the option to not bring Endo on.
Let's get to that. Let's work through it, because after the half time sub, it's Robbo for Kirkes, Jones for Canate, and look, the simplest what changed there, Chris, was Jones for McAllister, and I will, without knowing. That says to me he's trying to get McAllister to that next sort of glass ceiling of fitness, maybe if it's a bit more time on the pitch. 86
out of him at the
there or thereabouts, like. But it was a mad one. None of us had it pegged. Jones for Canate was not the sub that we thought it was going to be.
There was a faint chance of bingo from someone in the office, but I think they were lying.
But he has made it perfectly clear that Gravenberch to centre half is a thing, and I don't hate it. I don't
Canate
hate it.
said he was injured.
Canate's injured now.
Is that what that?
He hobbled down the tunnel.
Okay,
so
well,
so that was a bit forced.
He said he felt his
quad
go, and basically Slot went, I'm not risking that, and took him off.
Okay, well that's good. That's good to know.
Still not like for like, though, is it? Because Joe Gomez was there.
Yeah, that's for me. It's just like it's just the wrong sub. But you know, he's made loads of subs and changed games. You know, you can't have it both ways, can you? You know, this time I think he makes the wrong subs.
Yep.
90% of the time he's been here, maybe more, he's made the right subs.
Certainly this season. Yeah. Every sub he's made's turned to gold, hasn't it? Up until the weekend, more or less. He introduced Chiesa. What?
Which weekend?
Yeah, true, actually, yeah. But no, this one in particular, I think the subs are a particular talking point. Because some of them are just...
to the point, we made substitutions and changed positions and not brought on the lads who play in those positions.
Yeah.
So we've changed the centre-half and put our defensive midfielder in there, and we've changed the right-back and put our number 8 in there. And I know they can both do that. And I don't, again, go back to it, shifting gears. That's his plan B. You know, and the Szoboszlai thing's new, absolutely. But Gravenberch to centre-half is a thing that he's done, and it's a thing that it's worked because it means you've got more ball players on the pitch. I'm not against it. Personally, fundamentally, I'm not against it. But when you start to look back at not winning a game, when you've conceded a late goal, it ties into the Endo sub, Chris, because Endo's meant to be, right, we're shutting this down. Cool. But, I mean, it's about the boy with the finger in the dam. You're playing a right winger at right back. You're playing effectively a fucking 10 at centre half alongside it. You've put Andy Robertson on again. You've changed your full back.
Doesn't sound great. It doesn't sound like it'll work. It
sounds all over the place. It's so it's where that got me. Was Gomez the substitution? What would we have done?
It depends if you're going to win the game or you're in there for the draw at that point, doesn't it? Because you're really desperate to win the game. It's Chiesa. You get him onto the pitch in some way, shape or form. But if you think, I get out of Dodge with a point, then it is Joe Gomez.
But then you have to get a point, don't you?
You didn't do either, did he? That's what he was caught between two stools. He brings Endo on to play in a position and run him out like a madman, basically.
I said 15 minutes before McAllister went off, McAllister looks done in here. But when he'd played 86 minutes, just carry on playing the lad, because Endo was not the sub. And Endo came on, and honest to God, he got legged all over the gaff. His touch was horrendous. And look, he's came on with 4 minutes to go in this kind of Hail Mary game. And it's one of the only games I've been at in the last however many years where 7 minutes has gone up on the board and both teams have gone, stunning, we can both win this. And I was sat there thinking to myself,
that's really interesting.
That's not what happens. Usually what happens is 7 minutes goes up on the board and us of Liverpool go on then lads, and you hear the groans of how's it 7-7? Where this was, and for me, it spoke volumes at how people see us and volumes at how we see games as well. A point away from Stamford Bridge, once we'd got into that game, for me, was sound. I was happy to come away with the point, go back level with Arsenal, I think it was on point. That is absolutely fine. And then you've gone to a really tough away ground and came away with something. That's all right. But I think it said loads about what it was like, because Chelsea just had hardly any defenders on, and they clearly thought, yous have got no backbone, we'll just keep attacking.
We were there for the taking,
and we
though.
thought the exact same about them.
But so were they. But we didn't. We went.
But I've not been in a stadium where that's been a thing in ages.
No. But
it's always us, or like Paris, PSG. It was very much one side. I've never been to a game in recent years where it's been both ends can have a go at this. Like even Palace, it didn't feel like that.
Yeah.
So that was how shocking it was.
Well, after the goal, it should have been us in the ascendancy with the momentum and the belief to go on and win it. But it was the minute we kicked off again. We just allowed them all the confidence and belief in the world. More or less, like our game man, and Gary Neville, you did the commentary was completely as Gary Neville is, but he was right in one thing: his assessment of the final 10-15 from us was shambolic.
There's
were
no
all
game
over
management there.
Giving them the ball.
Yeah, we marginally disagree in terms of the time and the things. I think once we got level, I thought we were good up to it, and I thought we were good beyond it. But it felt a bit like we ran out of ideas. McAllister starts to get tired, and that's when you go, I've got one more move to make. What is it? And because for whatever, you've got us to where we are, and we're back level, we're in the game. What do you do next? And I can't disagree with the notion of get out of Dodge with a point, it'll be absolutely fine. It keeps you level on points with Arsenal. The goal difference is the thing, but actually psychologically, you've stopped the rot, and you've done okay, and you can get to the international break and you can reassess. But Liverpool, Wataru Endo is not this. He's not João Palhinha, as an example. We were talking about it in the commentary of like it's a defensive substitution, but actually, if he breaks things up, he might help you get on the counter attack. But he doesn't, because actually that's not really how he does it. He is a bit of a firefighter. He kind of like goes and gets stuck into little battles. He doesn't screen the defence in the way that like a traditional sort of number 6.
We don't have that in our squad.
No, exactly. It did make me cry out when you saw the Brentford game. You saw Jordan Henderson tearing about the place and getting stuck in. It's like, that if Endo was doing a crap version of that almost, instead of being what you wanted and what you kind of needed him to be. So it goes back to the conversation. What could you have done differently? You could have put Joe Gomez on, I think, and then you go, he's at right back, always centre half, whatever, you take your pick. But let's say put him at right back. You put Szoboszlai back into midfield, and then you've got a bit more legs in the middle of the park. And the other thing is Chiesa, because Chelsea, to the point, had 7 minutes and went, fuck it, let's go for it, because we've got nothing to lose. And Liverpool went, we've got loads to lose here, because we've lost 2 games. And I think, I don't want to be overly harsh on the manager, because you make your decisions, and if you get them wrong, you get them wrong. He didn't stop, he wasn't the one who didn't stop the cross. But I do wonder whether Chelsea would know recognised senior centre-halves on the pitch. Just throw Chiesa on and just see if you can just pin them back, because we haven't proven we can defend.
Liverpool haven't proven that they can take the ball from one end of the pitch to the other really enough for me this season. That's what it all comes down to. What I will say is they should have scored a winner in the 92nd minute with Enzo Fernandez. Which when you think about Gravenberch and Szoboszlai, being the right side of your defence is a big issue, isn't it? You know what I mean? So that one obviously a problem. I think I think Endo completely switches off to an unbelievable pass from Enzo Fernandez. I will say that as well. But that ball into Cucurella from Enzo Fernandez, Endo didn't realise until it was far too late that pass was on. And I think you could probably say none of the players anywhere near there would have thought that would be the pass, because the pass was probably just a simple one out wide, but he pulls an unbelievable pass out, and Cucurella has Gravenberch, they have Endo, and they have Robertson all kind of just staring around with that pass. So there's loads of problems, but flitting players between centre midfield, right back, centre midfield, centre back, then back again like it's frigging the Lord of the Rings, the Hobbit or whatever. Mental. It's a deep cut there and back again. It's another way of saying the Hobbit, but anyway, a long unexpected journey, all that lark. It's fine. It's no problem.
Carry on.
It's no problem. So yeah, I just think there's too much change all around the place. You look like you don't know what you're doing when you move someone to right back and then back into midfield, or you move Gravenberch into centre back and then back into midfield.
If you want to defend for your lives, you tell your back 4, they've been together all game and put in a shift together. Come on, lads, 10 more minutes, we dig in here. This is the line, we hold the line. You shall not pass.
There you go. That's not a deep cut, but it's definitely a
It's
cut.
not a deep cut at all. It's about the most low-hanging fruit in terms of Lord of the Rings. But you're right. You're asking Szoboszlai, and Gravenberch to hold the line, and they're like, how? How? Because all my best work is done 60 yards up that way. And again, you saw it, and it goes back to the things that players pick up. The amount of times Szoboszlai frantically just booted the ball straight back to them. Why? Does that have anything to do with the manager criticising an unknown one of our players after the Crystal Palace game for not just clearing his lines when they had an opportunity to? Maybe that feeds into it, but maybe we should stop asking people to do things that aren't as familiar to them, who knows?
The other thing that I think we've got a problem is Robertson on the ball looks much better than Kerkez, but I've said this time and time again, I said it all last season. The problem that Robertson's got is back post. He's not reading things. He doesn't pick things up. And once again, I mean, I'm assuming he's injured of some form.
Yeah, he is, yeah.
He's got his hands on his knees and he's bent over is what he is. And there's a lad back post just free as a bird for the ball.
He misjudges. You can see he misjudges the cross or the angle of cross or whatever, because he goes and then he checks.
Positioning, that isn't it?
Exactly. But yeah.
But I've spoken about this.
I don't think his starting position was right.
Yeah, I've spoke about this for the past. The ball back post is what worries me with Robertson, because he's not alive to it enough these days. But on the ball, he's much better than what Kerkez has to offer us right now. I think Kerkez is a little frightened at times to put the ball in behind and make runs, where when Robertson came on, you saw a bit more cohesion on that left-hand side, because A, they know each other, Gakpo and Robertson know each other, but also, they were overlapping each other and they were showing, more attacking prowess, where that's sound, and I do think he offers more in that aspect than Kerkez right now. But defensively, I just feel like I've seen that same thing on repeat for about a year and a half.
I thought it's another one, and I didn't realise this until watching the game back this morning. Touched upon the Neville commentary. I'm not even sure who the main commentator was. But fuck me, they had the knives out from Liverpool from minute one. Like, the amount of stick Kerkez got for no reason, but you know what I mean? There was nothing in that game that made me think this is a stinker from Kerkez, but the whole narrative around him was spun as he's really struggled this season, and and again, Liverpool are in a really bad place. Remember, everyone, Liverpool are in a really bad place. They're playing a game of football and they're doing all right. Can we focus on that instead of trying to hook it into some lingering thread? You can pick up them threads at the end of the match if it's not going right. But I do think, and look, individually watching the game, you can have an opinion on how a footballer performed, and it's different for Chloe, who saw it without any sort of outside interference, other than the emotions of the people around you, I guess. But like, Kerkez was fine.
That's what I'm saying. He was fine, but on the ball from the Kerkez of last season,
it's different. Yeah,
like this is what I'm saying. I don't think he needed to be hooked off in any sense for Liverpool the other day. Like, I genuinely don't. Bradley, I can totally understand why, because I thought he was one away from getting a second yellow. When Kerkez came off, I was a little bit surprised by it. But what I can say is, on the ball, Kerkez was the best left back last season in the Premier League. Best left back. And why? It was because he had so much going forward, and obviously he's a little bit rash at times, but defensively he was sound. But it was what he could do as a flying fullback, and he gets in one really good position in that first half. And from where you can tell me, can he shoot from there? He does a reverse pass, and that's what I thought. Exactly.
He has
so.
Just nobody cuts it back for Salah.
Yes.
It's a shooting position.
That's
a shooting position.
The best of Kerkez. However, I don't see that enough from him. And on the ball, I think, and I've seen it the past couple of games, especially when Alexander Isak's came in, because Isak makes the runs, and maybe people can't see it unless you're in the ground, because they kind of show different angles.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Alexander Isak's making decent runs and fuming at our fullbacks for not doing the balls quick enough. And Kerkez is one of them who it just feels like he's a little bit low on confidence in terms of, and I totally get it, because people are absolutely basically having a proper go at him. But at times he can do that ball and get us in behind, but he won't risk it because he's too scared. And it just felt like when Robertson came on, he was more willing to make that ball and do something that's a bit more
Robertson's
risky.
got nothing to lose, and he's got muscle memory.
Exactly.
And he just comes
but that's
in
what I'm
and
saying.
does his
right
job.
now on the ball, Robertson's more willing to do that, which makes me think he's better on the ball for Liverpool right now, but defensively, I don't think he's...
No, the goal is the goal, and Robertson's definitely part of the reasons as to why we conceded that late goal, and somebody of his experience and now should expect better. I'll be honest, I think he had a bad game. He shit out a 50-50 with Pedro Neto, and I'd have dragged him off at that point. Honestly, I'd have got him off the pitch at that point. I swear to God. Like, what are you doing? Yeah. I'm sorry. Like, the momentum of the game was so fine, and he just shit it and just let him go past him, and I was chasing him back then for the next. It's like, it's baffling to me. And this is a lad who we've all said is full-blooded, front-footed, combative, wants to sort of get on the and he was the best left back in the league, and we're not seeing it.
Do you want to speak to? Can we speak to the fact that how stupid football is, though? That Dominic Szoboszlai does that in a 50-50 is perfect. Everything you want to see in it.
Gets a yellow.
Gets a straight yellow without consideration from the referee.
He kind of went into it, whereas Kirkhead was like, no, not for me.
Well, I think Kirkhead does, and I think Wirtz does this a little too much for my liking as well. He tries to nick the ball as opposed to
win it,
blocking it. Well, it's a block. It's effectively, if you get your timing spot on, it's a tackle. At worst, you want it to be a block tackle, and at best, you want to get there cleanly and come away with the ball. And he looks like he's tried a little like clever knock instead of put yourself between the man and the exactly what Szoboszlai did basically.
I think the thing for me with Kirk is I agree with what you're saying, Chloe. Actually, I think he just doesn't look the same player when Liverpool have the ball, but then Liverpool don't play anywhere near the same way as Bournemouth. And so it's easy for him to be the last guy that comes in and overloads, almost like rugby, you know what I mean, and the winger where they get it, and then there's somebody there who picks the ball up. That's not what Liverpool do. Liverpool have the ball with their centre halves, and they build up and they dominate a game. And I think Kirkes is having a little problem at the moment in being there at the right time. And I think he did do that really well. I'd like to have seen a better ball in for Mo and whatever, maybe have a shot, whatever. But I think that's why Robertson's better at it, is because he's done it. And there aren't many teams in world football. There's maybe 10 in Europe that play and dominate in quite the same way as Liverpool, week in, week out, no matter who the opposition is. So it's an adaptation period for me with him on the ball.
And he's also, in terms of our fullbacks, Robertson and Alexander-Arnold have been the best fullbacks in the Premier League, definitely, and arguably in world football over the 8 years that preceded it. Or 7 years, whatever. So we're replacing them. We're all like got one eye on maybe the goalkeeper as an example. We know Alisson's the best, and it's quite easy to say Mamardashvili's coming in and he's got a huge sort of silhouette to fill in Alisson, and we're talking about what happens with Salah, etc., etc. But like, the fullbacks have been so central to what we do for so long, and having to get two new lads up to speed with it when you're making other changes, it's a bit it's all over the place. But it goes back to that thing of, I'm not sure Robertson added loads. He was fine. I thought he had a good game, but also how do you measure what he added if he's then making mistakes and not covering the
scene of the crime for the goal, isn't it?
It's tough. It's very, very, very tough to analyse that, isn't it? Because I thought he had a good game. I thought they were both fine, but inevitably you'll go, well, where was Robertson for the defending at the back stick?
And you have to ask those questions. I think the position isn't right.
Yeah, he's running back, isn't he? So are we defending? We're
and then he sprints on the edge of the penalty area to catch up with his man. And by the time he gets there, I honestly think the entire back four switched off when Enzo Fernandez had the ball, and his pass. Watch it again. His pass surprises everybody on the pitch.
But it goes back to the thing of what were Chelsea doing, and Chelsea were just getting the ball to their wide men, taking people on and trying to whip the ball across the face. And they do it loads of times, and it feels a bit nervy. You've got Gravenberch throwing himself in on one, which he doesn't need to, as it turns out. Nearly puts it in his own net, so you go, Jesus Christ. But by and large, we kind of handled most of those situations all right, but they kept going, and it kept being threatening, and they've got the crowd on their side. And it goes back to that consideration at the end of they were continuing to throw the kitchen sink at it, and we didn't. We had one where Robertson tries to make that run and Gakpo misjudges it. Well, that Robertson doesn't make the run, he cuts back inside and Gakpo plays the ball. Whereas Chelsea, it's just you make that run and then you make it again and you make it again and you make it again until it works. And I go back to Dan's point. I think between two stalls probably didn't do us any favours by the end of that. our goal, just in terms of talking
Great
about something
touch.
positive, yeah.
I'll give him that.
And can the fucking Sky Sports commentary fuck right off? Because we scored the goal, we levelled it up, it's a phenomenal touch, it's a good finish from Gakpo, and the response is to deliberate for the minute and a half afterwards whether it was a meant pass or not.
Yeah,
he looks at him.
The one point he said,
He looks at him.
He said it's gone down as an assist. I was like, well, obviously it has. Yeah,
because he was the one who passed the ball.
Yeah, it was a really odd
guy.
thing to say, that was.
But I found that throughout, and I know this is one of those
I think
things.
if you watch it back, Gary, he might have waved at Gakpo as well.
Do you want this?
Cody, here, have the ball and score. I mean, what else? What else do I have to do? Although I am the person who still dies on the hill of Dennis Bergkamp never meant that touch against Newcastle. But anyway, I'm joking. Partially, I just had that sense, and I had this from the midweek watching the Galatasaray one, and I know these are the kind of things that comes across a bit like crying when you're not winning, but Alan Shearer fucking hates us now. I still quite like Alan Shearer covering us. His commentary for the Barcelona game is great. He's having the best time of his life. He clearly doesn't like us anymore because of the Isaac stuff, so he was like a pig in shit covering us for Prime in the midweek. And I did think at that, no one in here has got any stake. No one cares whether Galatasaray are getting a fair rub of the green in terms of analysis here. So why don't we just put some biased Liverpool people on and let us all enjoy what we're watching? Because no one else is watching that, but Liverpool fans. So why not put someone on there who is going to make it more enjoyable? But then the Gary Neville thing, he's become quite good at it until you know that he's doing it. He disguises his hatred with this like haughty tone of, I'm analysing the game and I'm a great analyst of football. But like, I made a note of it, and it was Kerkez, Bradley and Konate. He basically slaughtered them all in advance of them coming off the pitch. And then there are just so many people who carry that, who listen to him and go, oh, well, if Gary Neville's saying it about two fullbacks, there is a little party that goes, but he probably does know that. But it doesn't take into account, again, how much he fucking revels in actually just shaping a narrative that tells you that Liverpool aren't great.
You're spot on. There's an exercise that I did a few years ago where I would watch the game at home or whatever and not have any commentary on. And I would always be quite surprised going online to find out what everyone was fuming about, it being completely different to what I thought I was watching. Whereas when it's why when Chloe goes to the game and we're watching it on the telly, we'll see things because they'll drum it home with how many replays of something, and Chloe's just not asked about it. Yeah. Well, I didn't see a replay and I'm fine with it. Like,
I didn't know that Enzo Fernandez had in the grounds. We didn't know whether that the backboard or the actual post. It was only until after.
It hit the outside of the post. It was irrelevant. He missed the target as far as I'm concerned.
But it's funny, isn't it, how that thing can kind of add to the misery and everything around it. I think it is a little bit of a point of they were desperate to draw up this. Liverpool are having a real difficult time. They're going through this crisis. They're struggling. We were like playing some really nice stuff and getting up and causing issues, but the commentary didn't match what Liverpool were doing on the pitch, because they're teeing up the story ready for when it does continue that they've gone, don't forget, this is actually part 3 of this ongoing story of Liverpool being a bit crap. And I wrote something the other day about this, but it's not wrong to kind of connect these together because 2 of these are league games, so they are connected in their own ways. But we are in that unfortunate situation at the moment where, like when we did it on the player rankings, I think some players were being judged, I think harshly, because I think they were being sold down the river by the commentary team, but also because people have got to be in their bonnet over Konate. Whereas I thought, again, Konate was fine. He was absolutely fine. He doesn't have a fucking stinker at all. He has there's one outstandingly stupid pass, but there's show me a play that wasn't.
Is that the one we just waxed out a play for no apparent reason?
We did this the week before, didn't we? When we looked at the stats, and he'd played 37 of 40 passes, but I could remember all 3 of his bad ones because they were so blindingly stupid. And that was kind of the same with Konate's passing this weekend as well. You just remember the terrible 2, but they were the only 2 he missed.
Yeah, it's funny that, innit? No, it's not. It's fucking horrendous.
P.S. Our goalkeeper's left-footed.
Can we tell the players on
Yeah.
the pitch?
Yeah.
Big thing, that, innit?
Early doors, my heart was in my
My
mouth for
God.
that one. Like, that was a baddie. That was a
Left-footed,
baddie.
lads.
Yeah.
He's left-footed.
I only
Player to his
realised
left.
when he played so many with his right foot, and I was like, hell, he must be like
Not by design.
feeling this pressure. And then he hoofs one up the pitch, and it goes really far. And I'm in the direction of a Liverpool player, and I was like, oh, that's a strong foot. So he's not
He kept
right.
passing it to his right foot. It's like, it's not Alisson. He's just tall and wearing the same kit.
He did well, actually.
Yeah, it is literally like they're on such autopilot of it must be Alisson, it's fine. You know, Kevin Keller's so different looking, but again, Keller's so two-footed that it never really mattered because he was so good at that. Whereas, Mohamedashvili is going to need a little bit. There's one where Van Dijk plays it back to him, and he's got no choice but to play a first time back, and he. Honestly, we've all done that with our wrong foot, where you've made a connection with it and you've got no fucking idea where that's going, and it comes back
that
at
with the
Van
good
Dijk.
football.
Yeah, I know.
Never mind me wrong foot.
That
100
leads
miles
to
an
the
hour
goal.
at this height. It's
It goes out for a throw-in, and then 2
Yeah.
seconds later, Caicedo's on the edge of our box with not a single man around.
We just let him shoot, though. Don't worry about that. We'll just let him have
we
a go.
enjoy that. We
Yeah.
don't like closing down us.
No. Leave him to it. Let's see what happens.
That was a system thing I'm going to do on the deep
Van
end
Dijk with his
tomorrow.
arse out. You have a go, my
Thanks.
mate.
Yeah. But on that, it was in the agenda. We didn't really get time to cover it. But yeah, Van Dijk, I'd be down to this. Van Dijk should just go out to him. I'm like, it's dead easy to say that. After you said that at the time, and then I just come
Because
back.
of the weather.
For everyone watching, that's how Liverpool defend. You defend so much stuff. You defend your box, and there's a degree to which you trust your goalkeeper. And if you're letting lads have shots from 30 or 25 to 30 yards, you're playing the odds in your favour, no matter how much they try to dress up. And they want to dress it up. They did it, like 4 of his 9 goals have come from outside the box in terms of Caicedo, but that doesn't tell you how many shots he has and how often he actually has a percentage, how many of them he go. It looks stupid when it goes wrong, but also people score thunderbolts.
I say again, deep dive tomorrow, me and Josh. It's a system thing, that goal. And I want to do it with the graphics and stuff like that. So
There we go.
tomorrow,
How the job
in the morning, I think we're doing it at 11 a.m. tomorrow now.
Nice. Brief break from us. We want you to listen to these wonderful messages, and then we will return with our unequivocal solutions to how to turn this round for Liverpool.
Hey everyone, at the end of October we are going to be giving away this signed Liverpool shirt, and it is not just signed by one LFC legend, it is signed by 5 of them. You've got women's superstar sensation Natasha Dowie, you've got Sammy Lee, you've got Gary McAllister, you've got Bruce Grobbelaar, and you've got goal scoring machine John Aldridge's signature on this shirt. If you want to win it, simply head to redmenplus.com, become a legend tier subscriber, and get all of our amazing content in both video and podcast forms, and loads of extra perks and bonuses as well, including this shirt. It was signed at our end of season party, and by the way, Jags from the Ragamuffins, he signed it too, and if you want, or if you don't, whatever, some of the Redmen TV crew can sign it for you as well. It is a truly unique prize. redmenplus.com, become a legend by the end of October and you'll be in the prize draw. Good luck.
Hey everyone, hi, we're here. Chris has gone to solve a problem that was pressing. Everyone else is still with me though. Before we talk about and give everyone solutions, I think he's probably gone off to get his notes. Let's just say he's done that. He's not, he's gone for the week. Chloe and Abby, I've got a brand new show coming to Redmen YouTube this Thursday. Are you excited? You and Abby have I've got a long-standing friendship, and I've been desperate to have you two unleashed on a show on your own, so it's coming. Are you looking forward to it?
Yeah, don't worry, we won't be as moody. We've decided to put a cap on the football chat this week. Yeah, it's good. We're going to be much more upbeat than I've felt on this podcast, but yeah, really excited. I mean, it is just 2 best mates talking about footy and other things as well. So
it's the kind of thing that got Redmen up and running in the first.
Exactly. So yeah, do come and join us for that. I think we're going to do a little bit more of like get to know us as well and things, which will be fun. But yeah, that is now in rotation every single month. So excited, really am excited. I mean, the more time I spend with Abby, the better for me. So
absolutely, nobody's day was made worse with Abby Rookin in it. Like.
Exactly.
There we go. And now everyone else gets to experience that via the medium of Redmen.
It's going to be really cosy and at parts very girly because Abby's on the show. That's not my doing.
Superb. Okay, so Liverpool have been a bit crap.
Oh dear.
Yeah, look, just one more point before we do this, because I think I meant to wrap up part one with this, but we're in a little heavy, but fucking whatever. It is interesting, I think, for that defeat, Chris, that it was the first one where there wasn't really any controversial incident that you could point towards. It was almost like the fairest of the defeats, even though it felt a little bit in terms of, I thought it was Liverpool's best performance of the three, and yet it was the most fair defeat in that obviously the penalty was hugely soft against Galatasaray, and to borrow from Arne Slot's hymn book, added on time against Crystal Palace. He won't have that, so at least when you've got nowhere to hide, you've got something to work on.
Yeah, I think we had lots of things to work on anyway, to be honest with you, from the last two. But certainly in that regard, yeah, I suppose so. I agree. I think it was the best performance, but I don't think it was anywhere near good enough either. I just think it was the best of a bad bunch of sort of performances, really, for me. So yeah, I suppose that's where I'll lie with it.
All right, I'm going to give everyone a chance to shine. I've said 5 minutes. If you want to go long, go long. If you can't stretch it out that far, tough shit. Just pad. Who wants to go first?
You can go first, mate.
Who of you is going to go first?
There you go.
I'll go first if you want.
Yeah, you go. Mine's
Yeah,
pretty simple.
I might just be saying the same stuff though.
Will you go first then?
No, you're more knowledgeable.
Chris
I am.
Pajak, you are stepping into Arne Slot's shoes over the international break. That doesn't take long. How are you going to make Liverpool bounce back?
I am going to make a big thing about cohesion. For me, as little disruption to the side as possible for the next however long it takes. I think I've sat here and talked on this podcast a lot about how I think we're seeing more rotation because of an assault on not just the Premier League, but also maybe the Champions League as well. For me, right now, the job looks a lot bigger than I thought at the start of the season. And as such, I would be prioritising the Premier League over everything else right now. And I want Liverpool to get that sort of cohesion back. It is no surprise to me that we bring in essentially Minamino and win the league in 1920, and we bring in Chiesa essentially last season, and we have our two best seasons that we've had in recent memory in terms of winning the league. Because I do think that changing and churn causes a lot of problems for teams. So we know that Trent Alexander-Arnold left the football club, so that's an enforced change at right back. I would say I would go with the safer option right now. I would go with Conor Bradley at right back because there is a bit more understanding there with Conor having him played half a season with Konate and Virgil van Dijk. I would stick Andy Robertson back in at left back right now because you have an enforced change in your goalkeeper department in Mamardashvili. I would throw Andy Robertson in there and try and bring Kerkez up to speed slowly in the background. I would also look at the midfield and make a decision on my personnel that I'm going to be using for the most part. My cohesion strategy would make you think that I'm going to go back to the midfield three of last season. I am going to make an exception and go, you've bought Florian Wirtz because you want him to be the leader of this side in terms of how you get the ball into your forwards. Let's start that process now and build that understanding up with the players around him. And then everything else is kind of make your decision on Isak or Ekitike on a game by game. Fine, okay with that, no problems whatsoever. My big focus for Arne Slot is on build-up play, and I've been saying for however many weeks, I don't think Liverpool's build-up play is good enough. I think that's it's the same problem time and time again for me at the moment. So for me, I've watched the passage of play 30, 40 times a game where we go from our centre-halves to our left-back to our winger and back again. Like, it's just not working. Like, teams are going man-to-man against Ryan Gravenberch and whoever's with him, and we are not seeing enough returns from playing through the centre of the park. Our goal at the weekend what's that come from? It comes from Alexander Isak dropping into our half to get the ball, flick it out to Dom Szoboszlai at right back, who's then able to get forwards, play a little 1-2. That's what we're needing to do more of right now, because our midfielders, Gravenberch and McAllister, are being man-to-man mark. So what do you need? You need somebody else dropping in. You need to be able to play the ball to them. How many times this season, and it's not always Mo's fault, but if we play the ball aimlessly down the wing to Mo Salah and, you know, he's fouled or whatever, and it's never given, by the way. In fact, it's quite often gone the other way somehow. You know, how many times that ball going to Gakpo? We need to trust people in the middle of the park, and we need to give them options on the football. So for me, I think that is a big thing. You know, we've got to start trusting our midfielders, and we've got to start playing through them, because teams are totally comfortable with us playing down the outsides. You know, Man City used to do this to us years ago. I remember speaking about it all the time. They would just clog the middle and go, beat us. And if you beat us, you beat us. You're gonna have to be excellent there. Right now, I'm looking at Mo and I'm looking at Gakpo going, are you beating your men enough to warrant playing dead wide, lads? I'm not sure they are. I get them involved in build-up play a little bit more as well. But this is, by the way, this is fucking stupid, me sat here saying this. And any of us, with the greatest of respect to my esteemed colleagues, sitting here saying what Arne Slot should do, because we're not football coaches. Mm-hmm. You know, we're just fans at the end of the day. But these are things that I think that maybe they should work on. Defensively, I don't have that much of a problem with how we defend. I do think the gaps between the forwards and the defenders at times are too big. Like, we're not pressing, are we? We're sitting into a mid-block nowadays, but the gaps are there, and they're a bit easy for teams to sort of play through at times. Think back to last weekend against Crystal Palace. It's too easy for them to sort of play through Galatasaray as well. There's just far too many big gaps in the middle of our defence, and there's not enough screening in front of our defenders either. So I think that's a problem. I would like to get to a position where we do press again, but I don't think Slot has ever shown an appetite for that at Liverpool, and that's okay. That's just part of who he is, and I'm fine with that, you know what I mean? So yeah, I think for me, I'd prioritise, I'm just looking at my notes here, cohesion and consistent team building. Okay. You know, I mentioned it before, the 4-2-2-2, the change in midfield midweek, the change again, stop it, just pick a fucking midfield and go with it until they can't go no more. I think cohesion and understanding between a good group of players is going to win 9 times out of 10, and I think we need to get back to that. We had that last season. You know, it builds a team, doesn't it? You know, consistent. You know, you go in there, you fight over and over again. You understand exactly what those players are going to be doing time and time again. I think there's bad passes because there's a lot of uncertainty between what the other players are going to be doing and stuff like that, and so it looks bad on the player. But I think that's the thing. So yeah, I think that for me is probably what I would do.
Cool. Has anyone got any questions of Chris's?
Not questions. I would actually echo a lot of what Chris said. Yeah. I think it's certainly the cohesion and having that settled team. And
I think you need the spine to be.
I think you might need more than that. And it's funny because I was guilty of having sort of ideas of grandeur when it comes to like needing more players to be able to call upon and rely upon and trust, because that was a big sort of buzzword around Arne Slot's core group last year. The fact they only used 13, 14 players maximum, and I wanted to expand that a little bit, and I still do, don't get me wrong, but I think now when you boil it down and you watch what we're doing,
not like this,
yeah, kind of not like this a little bit, yeah. And I think we do need to get back. It's a mini reset, and in the fullness of time, we might be able to go back to having this rotation. You might be able to drop more people in and out of games when they are all settled and you understand the system and they're on the same wavelength as a lot of the teammates. But that clearly isn't the case right now. So I would revert back somewhat, and I think Slot toyed with that at the weekend by picking that midfield. I think that was a nod towards maybe a requirement and a need to do so. So I think now if I was in charge, I would be going, right, we've got a set 11. Obviously circumstances will dictate, injuries and fitness will dictate that is impossible all the time, but he needs to make a decision over the course of the next 2 weeks. What is my 11? What's my 11 going to be?
What are we working on in training? We don't have a lot of time. Who's playing between together in training?
That's my 11. And unless anything crazy happens again, certain things will dictate what you can and can't do, and maybe opposition will lend itself to what you can and can't do. But I've got an 11 that I want to pick in an ideal world. It's much the same as what Chris said. However, I'd go one step further and I'd just pick Isak for a matter of weeks. I just would. Go on.
while we're doing the slots shoes thing, you kind of said it in a bit. What is your best 11 of your slot then, as an example of this?
Alisson, obviously.
Yeah.
I would go Conor Bradley, Canate, Virgil van Dijk, Andy Robertson for now, with an eye on in a couple of months' time. The left back probably changes. I would probably go based on form. I would go Gravenberch and Szoboszlai, with Wirtz ahead of them. I don't think we've got any choice for the right winger. I don't think even if you did have a choice, you probably wouldn't make it. I think Mo has to be played in to form. And Gakpo for me right now is the left, and Alexander Isak is the number 9.
Yeah, I agree.
It's interesting. Chloe?
Yeah, for me, I just need stability, and it's felt like Liverpool don't have a lot of that. It feels like we're so easily played through. The gaps are absolutely huge, and it's like you said, it's hard to trust the person next to you when every other week it is someone different, and you're chopping and changing. So for me, I'd make sure that my spine is where it is. Do not start moving Ryan Gravenberch at all. Keep him where he's supposed to be playing for me. Your spine has to be nailed on week in, week out. I feel bad for Ekitike because none of you have got him in, and yet he started life at Liverpool absolutely brilliantly.
He's the hot hand, isn't he? But
he is. And to be honest, I understand Alexander Isak is, Liverpool's number 9. But I just don't see a world where Ekitike should not be starting games of football because of how good he is. And he's the only one who feels like he can grab us. Any positives in the last... I mean, the positive Palace was, with Ekitike, we might do better. Then midweek, it was Ekitike was all right. And I was excited to see what he could have done alongside Alexander Isak. And then the other day, he comes on, I think he does all right. So for me... I don't think Alexander Isak's at the fitness that Liverpool need him to be at right now. So I would keep Ekitike there. And Ekitike can't play 90 minutes as it is. So, and maybe you look at him on the left wing, I'm not sure. But I think Ekitike has to play in some form, has to be starting these games of football. I'd find a solid back four. Whatever he thinks his best version of a back four is, you can keep Kerkers in. That's absolutely sound. But don't be changing your right back every other week. Mm-hmm. Don't be changing the left back. Stick with one. Ryan Gravenberch has to be the DM. Out and out DM. We will play with 2, obviously, in this. And with Dom. Mac is not in form right now. Dom has been our best player to start the season. Dom is in next to him. I would play Florian Wirtz because I think actually you saw against Chelsea exactly what he can do. He came on and he added intensity and tempo. The only problem about, for me, still Florian Wirtz is he does so well with maybe his first touch or something. His first touch is incredible, but he just takes one too many touches, like he's got too much time. I guess you can only teach that with playing games of football. I would start Florian Wirtz ahead of, Mac is getting dropped. And for me, Salah, Ekitike, I'd love to play Alexander Isak, but I've said no changing. So Cody Gakpo's in, Alexander Isak, I'm working his way back into fitness. So that's my team. Obviously, Ali if possible, but Mamardashvili. Yeah. Make sure you're changing goalkeepers, and you've gone from the best goalkeeper in world football to what we hope is the next best goalkeeper in football. Let's try and make it a bit more simpler for him and let him know the players around him as well to settle him down. So for me, it's all about being stable, being solid, because that's the way you find consistency. And look, I say this about teams that are in relegation battles, but I'm going to say it right now, we're not there, that nowhere near. We are literally 1 point off top. But the best way to build a foundation is defence and making yourself hard to beat. Every time someone attacks, I'm not playing fucking 3DMs as well as me 4 centre-halves.
Not playing any of us.
No. But my point is Liverpool last season, you could go into games and think we can nick it 1-0. I never had to worry. Every time someone attacks against Liverpool this season, I fear, because I just feel like we're so open. There's so many gaps. People aren't winning individual battles on top of it. So I'd make sure that you try and find that defensive stability to then kick on. And then when players are making mistakes a little bit further up the pitch, you're not as calling them out as much because your players know where they need to be. There's more chance of you winning that ball back and making sure that nothing comes of it. Where players are losing the ball in dangerous positions and it's like that are our goal because everybody is all over the gaff. So for me, it's all about stability, finding stability within your defence, within your spine of your team, letting the same players go and adapt to each other, because we're talking about bringing the likes of Florian Wirtz in this and maybe Kerkers if he starts. Once again, we've got to adapt to them and they've got to adapt to us. When you're changing systems and tactics and players, and look, I'm absolutely happy 60 minutes into a game bringing on 3 substitutions at once. Change is fine when in the game and when you've got a foothold of it.
4-0 lead.
But yeah, that'll do. But right now, Liverpool have no control, is what I think. And from a manager who last season was all about, do not dare play a single ball if you think that's not getting us in on goal. Can I go back to a little bit of that, actually? Let's not be doing these really sloppy, loose passes into midfield. If you think it's a really good chance of getting someone in behind and we're all set up in our little positions, wonderful, have a go at that ball. But if everybody is arse over titting in different places, could you not do a ball into midfield when there's literally no defenders for if that turnover happens to get behind? So yeah, I echo everything that everybody else has said, and for me it's you've got to build from defence here, because I do think we have the attacking quality for it.
My sort of take on this, I'm torn, because if I was going back to the start of the season, I would say play the champions, play the lads who've won the league, right? And everyone else has to earn the right to get into that team. Now, the problem is we sold too many champions. So we had loads of spaces in the squad that we immediately had to fill. Like, I'd go back in time and I'd beg Luis Diaz for one more season. I would beg him to stay for one more season, because he is everything we're missing at the moment for me. But whatever. And I mean, not in terms of his as a footballer, as a person, you know what I mean, in terms of just being a battler who wants to be stuck in absolutely everything. So there is a part of me here that's going, kind of like what Chris is saying, and go back to the tried and tested and trusted. But my answer is probably not the popular one. Is I don't mean to continue to be shit. I mean, stick to your guns, because I think Arne Slot's guns here are to get the next thing up and running, and I don't think you can get the next thing up and running without making more changes than we would be comfortable with. Right now, he's doing this thing where it's the drama in plate spinning is once they're all up, and then it's how do you keep them going. We're sitting here while he's setting up and watching it and going, fucking hell, this looks a mess, doesn't it? What he's putting the plates on and he's getting them, and where it leads to is, what if I was him, what I would do is say, I've just spent a lot of money on Alexander Isak and Florian Wirtz. They start every game. And you need to tell everyone that these are the lads who are going to make things happen for us. And I'm a bit sorry to Mo Salah, but mate, you've got less than 2 years left on your contract. We've given you the contract, you're here, but this is what the future looks like. And that is, for me, is trust in the new lads to do what they were bought to do. So for the love of God, stop playing Dominic Szoboszlai right back. He's done a really, really good job. You could argue he's been better than Bradley and Frimpong in that position. I don't care. Play the right backs at right back, because that's what they're there to do. Take your pick on the left back. I don't mind Robertson getting a bit more game time if Kerkers is having a struggle, because I think that's part of the learning process. But whatever it looks like, it's got to have Florian Wirtz in the side, and it's got to have Isak. And the Ekitike thing is really uncomfortable, because he's well better than both of them so far this season. But I have to put faith in the idea that those two lads were the ones who were bought because they're supposed to be the next world-class footballers. Ekitike might turn out to be that. I want to see Ekitike a bit more in rotation off the left if needs be. But that's it for me. If you've just got to get Isak up to speed. That's it. Get Isak up to speed and get Florian Wirtz up to speed and integrated with what it does. And I worry for the Chelsea game, when you put Szoboszlai in there, you are just elongating the time it's going to take for everything else to work. Is my little bit of concern over it. The alternative to that is go back to last season's formation and tell Wirtz that he's an 8. Because if you can't get the 10 thing working, And I worry so much for football teams that want to play 10s because it's a bit of a myth thing for me. I think it happens and it can work, but we hold up these we tend to hold them up from bygone eras. If he thinks he can make it work and let that be the rod for his back as far as the manager goes. But yeah, any world that doesn't have Isak up front for us is just it feels like a waste of time to me. So yeah,
I agree.
Stick with that.
The expenditure was the expenditure for the reason, wasn't it? And he's obviously got a long-term project and goal in mind with this side, and it looks like it contains them two in a big way. So I think that's fair enough.
I agree, but can I just say that two of the best footballers to ever grace this football club could very well be leaving in 2 years' time, and they'd have bought into the notions. They'd have bought into the notion of I've re-signed because I knew you were going to go out and sign these players, which in theory should make us go and challenge for more titles. Those Virgil van, you are never, ever, ever going to replace those two players for like. I get you can spread Mo Salah's goals and things like that, but still, I look at Virgil van Dijk and I think, how on God's green earth are we ever doing that? So in 2 years' time, I totally get this is the future and stuff, but those players aren't going to be sitting there going, yeah, that's sound, lads. What they're asked about is winning absolutely everything they can with Liverpool before they go. And I think... I totally understand that, because in 2 years' time, Liverpool are then going to have to fill those holes, and it's like, can you? It's just
will they put up with the short-term pain if we have to just keep muddling through?
It's also like Liverpool we've got two of the best players to ever play for Liverpool. Yeah, like you've got to win stuff with them because replacing them.
But ultimately, it's what do you mean by that? Does that mean Salah's got to be the main man? Because we saw it last season. Look, Isak is a better centre forward than Darwin Núñez and God rest his soul, Diogo Jota and Luis Diaz, and I think Ekitike probably is as well. But it's a question of does the Mo Salah system suit us having a number 9?
I'm not speaking about the system.
If it doesn't, but
I'm saying that Liverpool have to win now. Is what I'm saying.
I said that this morning, by the way. I think you're right. We have to win something major this season.
Because
you don't do
in 2 years' time, you don't have those two players.
You don't do that summer without winning something. You just
thinking.
But okay, yeah.
And I think they signed because they A, got the money, but B, also I think they would have had a clue that Liverpool were going to go big.
Yeah, but
Van Dijk said that.
We spent £200 million on rebooting the midfield, and what did we win?
Over a period of time.
It took a year for those players to get to the level.
We spent how many million? 300 plus this time around. But we recouped a lot of it back, granted.
But this is the kind of problem of that. Yeah, look, I don't disagree. Who the fuck is going to say no, don't win anything this season? Obviously, the aim is to win things this season, but it is just how are we slicing that? What my point is, there might be a better chance of us winning something this season if you revert to more of last season's type. Maybe we don't know. Cool. You've still not solved your problem of Mohamed Salah's going to be 34 years old, and it will at some point evaporate. And Virgil van Dijk, the same will happen to him. And you run the risk of wasting lads. If you've bought these lads, I'm just put your faith in the lads you've bought, and trust that Mo Salah will get his head round. Because as long as they start, whatever way that they choose to start winning, the players will buy into it because they just want to.
But you have to get the results to back it up, otherwise you start to question it. Because if you do revert to type, you've then got people questioning why he's done that, and then the results don't.
Exactly. It looks like I think it looks weak from the manager if he does have to go back to, if he boots all the lads out now and then goes back to it. And there is maybe that's a little bit of something why we didn't play the midfield and the structure we recognised against Chelsea. It was actually just Szoboszlai playing in inverted position rather than him doing his normal shtick with it.
The only other thing I'd like to see on a slot address over the course of the next 2 weeks, this is very much a bugbear of mine, is the set piece situation.
Yes,
both in attack and defence. And I'd go one step, and I'm aware of the problems we've had in terms of conceding goals from it, albeit not this weekend, granted. I want to see us be a bit more inventive from attacking ones. So I watch other teams up and down the land seemingly have loads of different training ground moves ready to go, and we just don't have anything. We just put one arm up or the other arm up, and then it'll both arms, and then that aims to one particular post or central. And it's like, no, we can do better than this. Like the last time I seen an actual training ground set piece from us, I think it was when Wijnaldum scored us Cardiff a few years ago. Like, it's been years. What's going on?
But that's an answer, though. What any of us could have said that. Could have boiled this down as simply as just spend the next couple of weeks working on set pieces. But I am appreciative of the issues he's got, because he has got to work on
there's a lot going on, like.
Set pieces are the last thing you had.
Yeah,
and this is the problem we're fighting against, of Arsenal haven't done anything mega. You know what I mean? Yes, they've added the centre forward, but effectively he's just a lad who's going to, he's going to have the same chances they were given to Kai Havertz effectively. But they're brilliant at the set pieces because they've got a coherent squad and they can afford to do that. What do we lose if we do that? I want it all. I want us to be brilliant at set pieces, and I want us to be brilliant at attack and play, and I want us to be defensively structured, perfectly defensively structured stuff. But the more you think about it, the more you go, shit, why did I think this was going to be a couple of players and we were just going to piss it?
I thought it'd be seamless, I must admit.
But better at set piece would be fucking...
No, honestly, I'm aware of that's something you do very late on in the process, and there's too much broken right now to be addressing that.
Not conceding from them.
Not conceding from be a starting point yet, and then maybe look at what we can do in attacking sense as well. Yeah, but I must admit, and I said this the other day on something that I felt like, because of all the expenditure and again the quality of players we bring in, and they all felt like quite obvious upgrades on what we had, to your point a minute ago about what we've done in centre forward. I just felt like, well, that's obvious, isn't it? Like, stylistically, profile-wise, they're similar. You can see what we're thinking here. So just going to plug and play all over the pitch and away we go. Yeah, maybe not.
You know what we might be, and I hate being this prick, but we might be a Kvaratskhelia style January signing.
Don't say that.
You know what I mean? Like that thing where you just got someone who's just this gnarly, wide superstar who just lives to cause problems for people. That might be the kind of thing that we're sort of missing. But then, Christ, we spent so much money. You can't keep Chelseaing this. You know what I mean? Surely the lads we've got in that squad are good enough to do something and better.
They need time. They need time on the training ground. They need time on the football pitch together, and they need to build a unity between themselves. And I think they need a better foundation, which is where I come back to the manager to shine. Because I don't think the foundation that we've given has been consistent enough and good enough for the players. I do think we are really struggling with man-to-man marking in the middle of the park, our midfielders. I really think that's the crux of the issues for Liverpool.
Yeah. We spoke very briefly this morning about, and Van Gaanberg's excellent, so I almost don't want to say this out loud, but do you think we do miss like an out-and-out six at times?
Definitely in the squad. Even if you don't need him every game, you need someone who's going to break up the play if you are against the side who's dominating the ball. You'd like somebody, I think, in the middle of the park whose first thought is there anyone in front of that defence? Because I don't think any of our players think like that, do they?
No. I think we've seen that recently, especially. Like, it's really sort of been... But even... That's not conducive to being defensively solid, is it?
When the chips are down, you just need more players on the pitch who you go, get Milner, man. Just get the ball to him and he'll just take a minute out of the game. He'll throw an elbow in when he needs to, all that kind of stuff. Henderson certainly had that. Look, Salah, when he's on it, is 100% that for us. Diaz was that. Someone who look after the ball. Our issue is Florian Wirtz should be that, but he's just still a little green in this team and he doesn't trust himself, and I don't think we totally trust him either. I said it to you the other day because I just wonder at some point whether a bit like PSG last season-ish, but like it'll just click at some point and it'll probably just be down to, right, fuck it. Just let's let these lads, let's trust these lads to be the ones who go and do the thing for us.
But again, we talked about this after the watch along and stuff. I agree with you, Dan, about we have to win something this season. You have to win something this season because you're the Premier League champions and you've spent a shit ton of money, but the fans are expectant as well. Yeah. And not just our fans, all the other fans of every other football club who conceded the league title to Liverpool before a ball was kicked, and all the fans of us who thought we were going to piss it because of the signings that we'd made. But you are laying foundations here for the next 5 or 6 years. Not for this season, and this season alone.
And that's
if it meant Liverpool didn't win a Premier League and a Champions League this season, but did the double 3 years on the bounce, I know which one I'm choosing.
Oh, absolutely that. Yeah, but then the Van Dijk and Salah stuff is.
But it's the problem with footy is you can never know.
You've just got to always win. Yeah, because you don't know what's coming down the line.
But my thing on that is the way Liverpool have been run and why Liverpool have worked is because they haven't done this. It's all got to be this season or nothing. And I think when you get into that it's this season or nothing mentality, you start to tell fans that like you can get managers sacked, and you can get all this. It's got to be perfect. We're not fucking Chelsea, and we've prospered by being able to think 3 years down the line. And I would say, and I'm not conceding us winning things. I want to see Liverpool be competitive this season. Again, it's always the barrier to entry. I think when you start saying you've got to win this season, you're just making a fucking rod for your back. Liverpool need to be challenging for both the league and the Champions League this season, and they need to. In order to do that, they've got to get a bunch of players up to speed, and they've got to get them, get a coherent system of play up and running as well. But much like the point about the midfield spend, those lads benefit from a year, and then they come good the year after that. We might be looking at a little bit of that. I'm not saying we have to be fifth in the league this season to make that happen. We need to. That's Slot's problem.
Mate, if it clicks in January and you win 15 games on the bounce, you'll be banging
exactly,
it.
Exactly. Slot's got this unfortunate situation, heavy inverted commas for people listening not watching, where he's got to build a title-winning side. Now he's got all the component parts there, and he's got all the experience of doing it, but that gel thing might be something that trips him up. But we as a fan base need to remain patient, because you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. No. Because there's loads of evidence of it actually players being better in season 2 than season 1. We're just hoping that there's enough handover here from the old guard to the new guard that can get something exciting going. But you're fighting against a very stable Arsenal team, who hopefully just do their own heads in and capitulate like normal, but we'll see. Okay, Bajcetic over Endo every day if he's fit. Great comment from JD.
That's right up my street, that
I
comment.
would love a bit of Stefan Bajcetic in this team, my
Just
God.
to see him play footy, going to be a blessing to this point.
He's just Ryan Gravenberch. He's just that lad. He's this tall, rangy kid who loves the ball under pressure, drops the shoulder and turns into trouble and comes away with the ball, whatever. Anyway, cool. Thank you, everyone. Don't forget to tune in for the Abby and Chloe show, or the Chloe and Abby show. Which one is it?
Chloe and Abby show.
That one.
Alphabet be damned. Tune in on YouTube, and of course where you get your podcasts for that later in the week. If you've got more from us, it has been the actual worst weekend of football. Everyone we hate won, and the one we love lost. But we're going to find humour in it somehow. So come and join us for the Bias Football Pod over on redmenplus.com after this one. We're going to try and keep you smiling. And yeah, stick with us for the international break as well, because look, we started this when Roy Hodgson was the manager, so we know how to handle things when it's shit. Trust us. Do you just... What? Oh, sorry. Super chat one. Read it.
John Dollery, I think Slot is obsessed with trying to replicate PSG last year. The players he bought are not as intense, no Vitinha. More importantly, he's a good player for Vitinha.
Really good player.
Yeah. If he's going to replicate PSG, then nobody was trying to replicate PSG in the first half of last season. That's what I'd say.
True.
Cool. Thank you, everyone. See us on the Bias Football Pod. Ta-ra.